Hey, I want to go over Fleming's dog-proof trap that I picked up. They had them on sale for around $8.95, I think, at one point. So I picked up a bunch of them, and I had a couple issues with them right out of the box, and I'll just go over my experience with that. The first, just a quick look at them. They're similar to a Duke. They have a single stake with the swivel attached. They have a swivel on the end. They're powder-coated brown, which it holds up pretty good. I haven't had an issue with the way it's holding up. They've nice traps, pretty strong. The addition of this nice plate, a little bit easier to set, something to grab onto when you're setting them. Gives you a nice positive thing to grab, and the spring's not digging into your hand. One of the issues I had is, if you can see how this, obviously this hooks in, that's what the raccoon goes in, grabs your trigger. That's where he's gonna get trapped with. But where this hooks up, these were kind of open a little bit, and I could pop this right off. It just came right off, which I don't know if it would have ever been an issue, but when one of them I grabbed and went to set, I noticed it. So what I did was I took some pliers and I crimped those down pretty tight on both sides so they don't pop off anymore. Just something, if you're grabbing these, just something to look at. The other issue I had was I would go to set the traps, and a couple of them, they were slick as snot, and the dog would slip right off the trigger. I would set them, pow, it would go right off. I could not keep it set. It was only a couple of them, and it has to do with this powder coating that they have. It's a very slick feel to it, so I just took a file and roughed them up. You could open up the notch on the dog a little bit. If I actually roughed that up a little bit with a file too, just that way it's a nice little bit of a grit surface on each. Overall, that way the trap that much more reliable. Setting it, you're going out in the cold, you have your hands on it, you just something to think about. Just give it a quick once over. I went ahead and talked to the guys at Fleming about this, just because I like to try and give feedback when I can, because they're selling a product if they think it's great and no one tells them. Otherwise, all's fine and dandy. People are going to be sitting there whining. But take a few minutes, call them up. They're great on the phone. They were great to talk to, polite. They weren't nasty or rude or mad at all. They was very happy to get the feedback, it seemed. And he was more than willing to replace them for me. I didn't want to go through having to ship them back and get new ones just for this. He said these are possibly an older, one of the first runs, which they've probably improved on this already. But it's something you can take care of in 2 minutes at home. Do it. Most of these guys that are trapping, you like to tinker with stuff, you like to modify. Hit them with a file, just crimp those down, just something to look at. But like I said, Flemings was more than willing to work with me on this. I didn't feel like sending them back. I just wanted to let them know, in case no one ever said anything, hey, it's a possibility, something to look at. Maybe a batch of them came out like that. Just a heads up. And they're great about it. They're complete gentlemen. So shout out to them on that. It's not like I get paid by anyone or I get free stuff. So I like companies that I deal with that are nice, and I like to give good feedback on that. A lot of people talk about, there's F&T, Minnesota trapping, ton of supply houses and places to get stuff. You don't hear a lot about Fleming. I feel like I haven't heard a lot of feedback from them, but everything I've ordered from them was fast, good service. Every time you talk on the phone, they're great to deal with. So that's my tie-in with that. The only other thing I want to go over on the way I set my dog proofs up, when I get some new dog proofs, I'll take some cable and I'll make up little extensions. A small loop, a big loop. This just happens to be a length of cable this size. I'll make some big, I'll make some small. What I do is feed your cable through the swivel end, put your big end through the little end, tighten that down. Now you have an extension on your dog proof. I like to make a big loop on this end, because what I'll do is I'll go up to a tree, go around the tree, put my trap through my loop, tighten that down around, say, my tree. Now it's staked off, it's not going nowhere. I did once have a raccoon climb a tree with the dog proof, kind of about 8 feet up, 9 feet up. That was fun to get down. But other than that, I've never had a problem, and it beats carrying a driver and disposables when you're just running a couple dog proofs, or a beach drive and rebar stakes in. It's just something that is quick, easy. I take my little girl out with me on the trap line sometimes, and she has a blast putting these out with me. So carrying a dozen cables with a dozen dog proofs is a lot easier and more convenient than anything else. So if you're looking for a quick, easy way to set those up, I suggest running some extension cables with loops. Just a ferrule crimped on the end. Get yourself, make some real big ones for some bigger trees, some small ones for like sapling size if you need, or roughly all the same size. But that's my tip on that. Other than that, I recommend if they go on sale again, for the price, you get them cheap. This was, I think, the cheapest dog proof I was able to find, and they've been holding up great. I got a bunch of them, and I like them. Those were the only issues I ever had, so take it for what it is. Give those guys a check out, though, on FlemingTraps.com, I believe, and Fleming Outdoors, I believe, is the same company. All right, thanks.